Come on, baby. Do the thing. That's it. Good robot. Good robot. Get away from me. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, March the 30th, 2020, the 19th day of my isolation. Self-determined. I don't have COVID, okay? Just making sure you understand that I don't have it, okay? But I am practicing what we're supposed to be practicing: social distancing, physical distancing, and self-isolation. And am I stir crazy yet? No. And this is vlog number 161, by the way. So, what have I been up to this week? Well, all kinds of things. That's why I'm not stir crazy yet. Just to let you know how I plan out my day is I have a electronic bulletin board on my computer, and I have an agenda on there for the day, things I'd like to get accomplished during the day. It's not a very strict agenda. I just list some things that I think I might be interested in doing that day, and as I get them done, I check them off. And I also keep a very large agenda as ideas come to me about things I might want to tackle during this time of self-imposed isolation, that I can do them. And that's helping me keep my sanity. But I'm a list maker anyways, and you know that about me. So, what have I been up to? Well, behind me, one project. I have the top finished on this quilt. It's called the Doves of Hope, and it's a fairly large quilt. It's just about a queen size, just about. I don't think it's quite a queen size. It was from a pattern, although I altered the colors and everything in it, and it's quite long, and I can't get it all in here. This is just the first third of it, basically, third to half of it. And so now I have to decide on what pattern I'm going to use for quilting it. And because there's a lot of straight lines, oftentimes I've heard people say that when you have something that's very geometric, very straight lines and angles, use something that's a little bit more curvy. But in my mind, I have this idea of doing something that is sort of geometric, but I've seen this design, and I think I have this design on my sewing machine, because I will be doing this in my embroidery hoop, as you know. And actually, just as an aside, how convenient that I figured out how to do it in my embroidery hoop, because right now I can't take this down to the long arm shop and do it on the long arm because, of course, it's closed. So great. I can do it at home, no problem. Yeah, but as I was saying, I think the pattern I'm going to use is one that's sort of like a series of interlocking squares. They're kind of loop around each other, but they are squares. I think that might look good with this. I'll see. I'll have to experiment. And when I get it all done, which will take a while, I'll show it to you when it's finished. But I'm really liking this. I think it turned out really nice. In fact, the other day, I was going through all of my quilts. And I have quilts in several different places in my house. I mean, I have some quilts in my bedroom, which are on the bed. Well, one quilt on the bed. There's a one hanging up above the bed. In the guest bedroom, there are some of the larger quilts are laid out on that bed because we don't usually have guests. And of course, right now at this point in time, we're not having any guests anytime soon. And I've got a bunch of them down in my rec room because about a year and a half ago, I bought a quilt ladder hanger. I don't know what you call them. And they're on that. But I don't really have an inventory of my quilts. So I decided on the weekend that I would set up my camera and I would take pictures of all my quilts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create sort of a scrapbook, a visual record of the quilts I've made with some notes in there about, you know, when I made it, what the pattern was, things like that. Just so I've got a record of what I've created. And you know, when I started listing all of these and taking pictures, I have made in the last 2 years, that's how long I've been quilting for, I have made over 45, almost 50 different quilted objects. Now, not all of those are quilts. Some of them are wall hanging, some of them are banners, some of them are placemats and table runners. But nevertheless, it's quite a bit in 2 years. Guess I'm a little bit fanatic, aren't I? But yeah, Surprise. Okay, so I've done that, and look at this little guy. Isn't he just cute? This was, there's a company in New Zealand called Creative Kiwi. You've heard me mention them before. It's where I get, some embroidery designs, and they often have a lot of really cute things. Well, this is a little stuffy, a little stuffed toy. It's a koala bear, and it's done in the hoop. And actually, it took me longer to stuff them than it did to actually sew them out. But I thought he was just the cutest little thing. And the pattern cost me a whole $7 Canadian. So you couldn't beat that. And in fact, there's another stuffy toy. It's a kiwi itself that I haven't made yet that came along with this pattern. So 2 for 1 in a sense. And I might try and make him a little bit later today. But I just thought, this guy is just so cute. And I'm really not into stuffed toys or things like that, but I am into Australia and New Zealand. So when I saw this, I thought, yeah. And I changed the wording on him, and I don't know if you can make it out, but it says eye distance. The original wording said Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. So I changed that to eye distance. Just a little bit of a, not a pun, but a little bit of a reminder of what we're going through right now with all of this. So anyways, he's a cute little guy. Love him a lot. Okay, let's move on to the YouTube channel of the week. And this is one that it's called Travel Man, but it's not necessarily always about travel. You'll see what I mean in a second. This week's YouTube channel is entitled Travel Man. Now, as the name says, it is about travel, but there is another part that's embedded into it called Gadget Man, and that's the part I like the best. Although his travel videos are very entertaining and educational, his gadgets are very appealing because they range in price from a few dollars to a few $1,000s or more, and some of them are very futuristic and very high tech. So if you're looking for something that's both educational and entertaining, and there's a little bit of humor in it, actually a fair amount of humor in it, then check out Travel Man. So the link to Travel Man is listed in the show notes below, as is this week's latest Stephen and Walter broadcast. We got a little serious, got a little ranty on this week's Stephen and Walter Live because we talk basically about the stupid things people are doing during this crisis. And there's a lot of stupid people out there, and I'm sorry, I was calling them out, okay? Not intending to make fun of them, to point out just pure stupidity. And I'm not going to apologize for that because they are stupid people. So if you didn't catch the live and you want to see what we were talking about, go to the link below for Stephen and Walter Live. I also have a link there for a new Idiot the Quilter. I did an impromptu live last week showing how to make these tiny little felt baskets. And, if you didn't catch that, then you can see it on the replay if you're interested in something like that. I'm doing these little lives when the mood grabs me, so they are very impromptu, and I don't give people a lot of warning because I don't know when I'm going to do them for sure. So they may just pop up. If you've got the notifications bell clicked on for this YouTube channel, then you should see a notification about when I'm doing a live. I may do a few more, I may do a few less, I don't know. It just depends on my mood. Like I said, I have lots of things to keep me busy right now. That's just one of them. Okay, and of course the book of the week, which we'll come to shortly. So that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. And this is a bit of an extension of what Walter and I were talking about yesterday on the live. But it's a little bit more specific. Last week in my vlog, if you remember, I talked about a Facebook group that has been started in my area and is actually a group that has been spreading across many communities across our country, and it may even be spreading across the world. And basically it's called here Caremongers, and it's a group that is networking people through Facebook group to help other people that may need something. So basically sharing our talents, sharing what we can do for others during this time of crisis. And that's great. There's a lot of good things going on, like people who are shut in because of illness, Not necessarily because of the virus, but they're shut in because, of other things, like they may be disabled, they may be elderly, whatever, and people are going out and picking them up groceries and things like that, whatever. Or medications, or, helping them out with the problem that they may have. And that's all great. And as I told you last week, I have signed up on there to offer my services as a retired English teacher to any high school students that might be, worried about, graduating, getting their year or that, or they need help with whatever curriculum teachers might be providing right now. Because I did hear the Ontario government actually put out a mandate to school boards that they need to have curriculum and things for the kids to do, because they're not going back to school. Not for this school year. They may not be back in school until September. So I thought, I have done e-learning before. I did that for 3 years of my teaching career. So I know somewhat about, connecting with students remotely and that kind of thing. And, got 31 years experience in the classroom as an English teacher. So, I think I could give a hand. And, quite frankly, it might be kind of fun to do that as well. I've been retired now for almost 8 years. Get back into the swing. But we'll see. But I put that out there because that's, something I thought that I could do. Okay, so back to this caremonger. So I think it's a great idea. But like everything that's a great idea, there are always those that take advantage of others' hearts. People who are putting themselves out there to help other people, doing it selflessly, not looking for any kind of rewards or recognition, just out there to help with all of this. And then there's these other people who take advantage of it. So now I'm watching things on this Facebook group with a bit of a skeptic's eye, because I have noticed a few people have suddenly popped up and they're complaining that they have this health problem, that health problem, something called ODSP or something like that. I had to look it up, and it has something to do with a form of disability. And I guess it can cover everything from, bad back to, your legs have been removed, whatever. And they're usually on a special allowance through our government because of this, because they can't work. Okay, that kind of stuff is out there. I get it. But suddenly there's these and others popping up, and they have a shopping list for somebody to go out and pick them up stuff. And it's always a hard luck story. Now, I'm not saying that these aren't legit, but what I am saying is suddenly they pop up now. Now, maybe because there wasn't an outlet before. Maybe that's what it is. But my cynical, skeptical, critical mind is kicking and going, just a minute. I'll give you an example. There's one young mother who popped up on there, and she says, well, I'm running out of food. I have 2 kids at home. I'm a single mom, and I don't have any money. Okay, and she had a list of things that she needed. So somebody actually responded to that and said, look, I'm going over here and here and that, and I'll pick you up those items. Just, let me know where you live and I'll drop them off on your doorstep, kind of a thing. Now, whether this person was going to pay for the items the other person was picking up, I don't know, because there was no discussion, at least in the public forum, saying, like something to the effect like, I'll give you the money when you come, I'll e-transfer it, something like that. No. Well, basically, they said they didn't have any money. So that was really nice of this other person to put themselves out there. But then, Walter's very good at searching out the truth on the internet. He should have been a private investigator, I swear. So he did a little research in the background of this person and found out this person does have a husband. Don't know about a job, don't know what they're doing for that kind of thing. Found out a few other things about them too. So it made this hard luck story didn't seem legit. Maybe it is. We don't know. You can give the benefit of the doubt to this individual. But, I'm the kind of person that takes people at face value. And I usually get screwed for doing that. Walter's not. He's a little bit more skeptical about things. And when I get all excited about, doing something for somebody or whatever on that, he always brings me down a notch and says, wait, did you think of this? Did you think of that? Maybe we should investigate this. Maybe we should check that out. And, I'm glad that he does that, because that really grounds me. But I've seen other people on the same site. One person was talking about they didn't have any food. One of the people on there came up and said, in your area, there's a food bank. Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. So, what's the old saying? You can feed a man with a fish or something, and that'll last a day, but teach him how to fish, and that'll last forever. Something on that line. I've got it wrong, but you know what I mean. So the idea here is, how did these people that are suddenly looking for helps, if they've already have a precondition, that it isn't something that has been caused because of the situation we're in right now, how did they survive before? All of our social services are still in place. They obviously have a way of connecting via the internet, so they got an internet connection and they've got a device that connects to it. They're not homeless. So what were they doing before this? Makes me a little skeptical. So, it's just this nature of, for everything that's good in the world, that people put their heart out there and, like this caremongers thing, excellent idea, great thing, and bully for those people who are putting themselves out there to help other people like that. I say kudos to you and the whole bit. But you're going to run into these a-holes who are going to try to take advantage of the system and ruin it. So there we go. I don't want to be cynical right now. This is not the time to be cynical. We need all the hope we can get. However, I think we need to be cautious as well, because there are people out there are individuals out there who see something that's going to work for their selfish advantage, and they're going to take advantage of it, and the hell with everybody else. This is also apparent beyond this particular group. Apparently there's a series of scams going out with text messages and things like that, that are, saying your results have come back from your test for the virus and you've got it, call this number. Well, no, because, one, I would think that would be a really hard scam to scam people with, because you would know whether or not you had a test, right? Because you're, at least in our area, in our country, they're just not handing the tests out to anybody. There's a procedure you have to go through. But I am surprised that I have not yet had a lot of calls trying to scam me out of something. But it's coming. I can tell you this. The longer this thing goes on, the more you're going to see the ugly side of humanity raise its head. I'm wondering about crime. Like suddenly there's a lot of businesses are closed down. There's not people around them. I would think that's prime opportunity for people who want to break and enter and rob and steal and all kinds of things. It just, it makes you wonder if this plague we're going through right now isn't something that's been sent to us from a higher power. I don't know. I am not a religious person in terms of, organized religion, but sometimes you look around at things that have been happening, not just with this crisis, but what came before this crisis, and you kind of wonder if maybe the book of Revelations wasn't just a metaphor. I don't know. Just thinking out there. Okay, this is all very depressing, and I know, but after all, this segment is called What's Pissing Me Off. And so what's pissing me off is people who are taking advantage of the goodness of other people. Moving on. Let's move on to something a little bit more light. This week's home decor idea. This week's DIY is all about keeping a clean house, because nothing says a lovely, well-decorated, well-kept house than a clean house. And in this day and age, most of us don't have the time to clean, or we hate cleaning. I know I do. So that's why I have my little friend here, a Roomba. If you don't know what a Roomba is, watch this. This is fascinating. This is a robotic vacuuming system. It saves you all kinds of time. It does its own little thing, and when it runs into a corner, it knows how to get itself out. So, don't want to clean? Get a robot. They don't talk back, and they clean. And I'll just say one thing about my Roomba that's more serious. I bought that several years ago. It was very, very expensive. I think it cost me about $700 at the time. And it was an impulse buy, and I don't regret a penny of that. That is the best little thing I have ever bought. And I use it quite a bit, mainly because I'm lazy. But it does do a really good job. Now, it's not going to pick up really heavy problems in your carpet and that, but it does a really great kind of daily maintenance kind of a thing. I don't run it every day, but now that I don't have my regular cleaning lady coming over, I do run it, a couple of times a week. And yeah, it's great. It's a good investment. And when this whole thing is over and we get back to life as normal as we can, I think I'd really like to look into investing in a newer model, because the newer models work from your iPhone as well. They have Wi-Fi built into them, and they have some other features that clean even better. So they even have one that'll mop your floor. That's not bad. Okay, so just saying. I mean, they're expensive, but they're good. Okay, so what's next on our agenda? Let me check here. Okay, buying things. I did get my Monfill order. Monfill, if you remember, is the place in Quebec where I now buy a lot of my embroidery and sewing threads. And I really love their big cones of sewing thread to use when I'm actually quilting a quilt, like that one behind. And you go through a lot of thread when you're quilting something that size. So I bought a whole pile of the large, I think they're 3,000 meter, cones of their sewing thread. I bought like 3 of almost each color that they have. And they came the other day, and I'm really pleased with this product. And if you're into sewing, if you're into machine embroidery, that kind of thing, then again, I recommend Monfill. It's just MONFIL.ca. And their service is really good. Their product is really good. The price is sensational. I think these cones are like $3.49 Canadian a piece. That is, wow, really good, because for a 1,000 meter spool of Aurifil, which is a really nice thread as well, I pay about $15 a spool for it, Canadian. And that's only 1,000 meters. This has 3 times more. I feel this is pretty much as good as Aurifil, and it's only $3.49 a spool. I think it's $3.49. It might be $5.49. Either way, it's a third or less of the cost of a quality thread. So check them out if you're into sewing. You won't be disappointed. Okay, that was a nice little commercial. I am not sponsored by Monfill. I'll tell you that right now. But if they want to sponsor me, that would be great. Send me more of your product. I love it. For free. Okay, and there goes my clock. And at the sound of the bell, that means it's time to talk about, another new product that I got. And that is So Very Easy Quilt Favorites. Now, I ordered this book about 3 weeks ago or so. The lady on here, Laura, she's a Canadian. She lives in Niagara Falls, which is about 2 hours away from me. I watch her YouTube videos all the time. They're absolutely excellent. It's about quilting, of course, and sewing. And she just came out with this book with about 12 different patterns in it, her own patterns. And you can see I've already marked some pages on here of the patterns I want to do when I get to them. Okay, I have a lot of patterns I want to do. But she also signed the book for me. Right there inside, which was really nice as well. It isn't a particularly cheap book, and it isn't a very thick book, but it's a well-written book. It has lots of pictures. That's one of the quilts, by the way, that I want to do. Just show you here. She has a very interesting style. Each of the quilts is a little different type of quilt. And this one is what I would call a modern quilt. I don't want to do it in those colors, but it's, you know, it's a very simple looking kind of quilt, but very modern in its design. And it's done with strips. And there's a few other ones in here I want to attempt as well. But that is something new that I got, so I'm really impressed with that. If you're interested, you can probably pick this book up on Amazon as well, or you can go to her website, which is, I'm not really sure what it is, but I know she has one. But anyways, if you just go do a search on So Very Easy, you should be able to find her. Okay, so that's only things I've bought new this week. And what else? That takes us to the book of the week. Okay, this one's a timely book, and this is for the crafters out there, and especially the crafters with kids. It's called Making Books, Over 30 Practical Bookmaking Projects for Children. Now, I think I bought this way back when I was teaching school, and I've marked a few pages in here that I must have used in school. Let me just see, which one did I mark? Oh yeah, this was a little flip book diary thing. I forget what we used it for, but it's excellent. And you know, right now I'm sure you're looking for things for your kids to do. And this is the kind of thing kids love to make. The instructions are very kid-friendly, very easy to do, minimal supplies. Most of the stuff that's listed in this book you would have at home already. Most of them can be made out of simply copier paper. And away you go. So if you've got some copier paper, which I'm sure you do for your printer paper, and you've got a box of crayons and a pair of scissors, you're laughing. And this will keep them really entertained. And there's how to make pop-up books and things like that in it. It's written by Paul Johnson. I'm not sure what I paid for it at the time that I picked it up, but I did look it up on Amazon, as I always do. Just show you the cover again. And what did I find out? Yeah, it's $29.99 Canadian. This is not particularly cheap, and it's not on Prime, so it was $6.49 for shipping. So yeah, we're talking about a book that's, you know, $36, $37 Canadian. But you want to know, what price can you put on keeping your kids entertained? I have a feeling right about now it's priceless. So check it out. The link for it for Amazon's in the show notes below. Okay, so that takes us to one of my other projects, which you know, my grimoire. And in this installment, I'm starting to work on the interior pages. So I have already done the intro pages. And here's the video as to how I did that. So now I'm ready to start decorating or embellishing the inside of the grimoire. And I think I'm going to start with the very first pages. I was debating whether or not I should start with go in the middle and work my way out. But I think I'll just start with these pages first, because these are going to serve sort of as the introduction. And I've picked out a couple of things. I downloaded a bunch of spells. Now I think these are fake, but there's one here called Book of Shadows Blessing, which I think would be appropriate, because this is another name for grimoire, is a book of shadows. And I've got this little diagram here that I thought might be interesting. And this was from the paper pack that I mentioned before that I scanned, and I really like the idea of the owl on here and the the cosmos looking background. It suggests mysticism, I think, to me. I have found another little spell called the Karma spell. So this is something that I think, you know, you want good karma, so that might be a good way to start a book of shadows as well. I have this tag. This is by Mike Deacon and one of his digi downloads, and I just thought it might be interesting to put a tag over here and possibly put this spell on top of that, so you pull it out of a pocket, and I might make this into sort of a pocket over here. I picked up a few little pieces of ephemera that I think might be interesting. This bear tree wood chip I think might look good somewhere on here if I colored up a little bit. And then I just picked up, I don't know if I'll use all of these or whatever, but a little border, a gold star, a couple of bats, and a skull, and a I've got out my distress ink for aging, and we'll see how this works, and we're just going to build from there. I also picked up a couple of my rubs. These are metallic rubs, which I might use on some of these pieces as well. We'll see how that goes. So first of all, I want to start with the base page, and I'm thinking that Book of Shadows spell should go on here. I don't really like this looking like a white border on here. I think I will tear the edges, and that's going to give it that very rustic and ancient look, and that's what I want to achieve in my grimoire. So I'm just ripping the paper along the edge to expose the white core, and I'm just going all the way around this, and I'm not being too terribly fussy about how I'm tearing these pages off. I do want to leave the text though intact, so I try not to rip that. You really can't. You can, if you look at it very carefully, you can read what this says, but it's a bit blurry. Part of that is because of the way I got the image off of Google Images. It was a low resolution, and when I blew it up a little bit and printed it out, it did that. But you want to know something? I don't care. It's more for the overall visual effect than anything else. So that might go there, and I'm going to use that as a base. I'm wondering if I should take a stencil and some ink and just add a little bit more texture to this. I'm kind of covering her up, and I didn't really want to do that. So maybe it would be better over on this page here. We do read from left to right, so yeah, maybe it would look better there. And I don't think I'm going to add any texture to this, but I do want to darken the edges. So I've got out my distress ink, and this is walnut stain. And I'm just going to ink up my applicator, and we'll give this a little bit of that aged look. That's the beauty of when you rip the paper and you get that sort of white core, that it takes ink really well. And I'm just wondering if this still looks a little too precious, so maybe we'll just give it a little bit of a crinkle here and there. That might be good. And I think I will stick that down. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time trying to figure out the placement of my embellishments on each page. When I do that, I usually end up getting blocked, meaning I have no idea and I can't make a decision. So sometimes it's just best not to make any real hard decisions. Just go with the flow. And besides, this is for fun, and you know, you don't want to stress yourself out too much. So I've got some double-sided tape on that. I could have used glue, but I like double-sided tape for things because it's pretty much instant gratification. Need my little pricky tool here to get this paper off. And here we go. Let's get this stuff out of our way. Okay, hard to pick that up. Okay, here we go. Now, I was going to put it in center, but maybe I should put it off center a little bit. Yeah, I think I'll go a little off center and even off the cover. Don't want everything to be, you know, nicey-nicey in here. We need something down here. Book of Shadows. Little skull might look nice there. Maybe a couple of bats. Something down here. Yeah, that might look okay. This is copper. Let's see what this might look like on the bats. Oh, it's got this, ooh, it's gooey. Gooey, gooey, gooey. Okay, time to get dirty. Ooh, goes on nice and smooth. It's got a bit of an odor to it. I've never used this brand before. I have used rubs before, but never this particular. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that, so I think I'll do the other bat in the same. A little goes a long way, I found, with this particular rub. I believe it's by, who's it by? Art Alchemy. And it's called, I'm reading the lid here, Metallique Wax Cure Sura, whatever that is, Sura. And it's another language. It does have a smell, not an unpleasant smell, and not a toxic smell, just a smell. Now let's see here. I've just put this. It is messy, people. It is messy. Put that back on top of the can, and I am going to get a wipe. And now I'm going to have copper-colored fingers. That's okay. Mixed media is messy, isn't it? If you're afraid of a mess, don't do mixed media. Seems to come off, though, fairly readily. Which now makes me wonder about how permanent it is. I don't want it sticking to other pages. I may have to give each of my pages after I'm done with the number of products I put on them a spray of workable fixative just to seal them in. Okay, got that. I'm going to grab a paper towel. Should have had this stuff all sitting over here before I started. And I'm just going to buff these. And buffing will take off some of the excess. Kind of smooths it out a little bit too and gives it a bit of a shine. I've got some on the edge of my grimoire. Not that that's a problem. Okay. So I've got those, but I think I want to see if I can add a little bit more of the distress ink to this in the edges. They're looking a little too finished. So we'll see here. And if you heard that in the background, that's my Roomba. It's vacuuming my rec room at the moment, and it looks like it's had a problem, but it'll just have to sit there until I'm ready for it. Scrunching these up a little bit more. Let's put the lid back on here. Don't want this stuff to dry out, because this is not particularly cheap, this stuff. I think I paid about $11 Canadian for each one of those little cans. So, although I think they'll last a long time, as long as they don't dry out. I've had other products like that too, and not by the same company, but they have dried out over time. So let's just place these in around here. Maybe one more up there, over here. And I think that's where the star is going to go. But again, maybe a little too shiny. Let's see what happens if I add a little bit of distress to this. I want to grunge it up a bit. Sorry, I'm off camera. See, while I'm doing it, it says I'm just going over this. I think this was a piece from Project Life, one of their kits. I think that's where I got it. Okay. And then this skull here. Now, I have another one. It's more of a pewter. I don't know. Would a pewter look okay on this, or should I just go with grunge? I think pewter might be too much for that. So let's just try to grunge this up. I'm not sure where I got this piece of chipboard. Probably picked it up along with some Halloween supplies at one point when I was doing a Halloween themed page or something. Okay, trying to make the edges a lot darker than the surface, just to make it pop from the page. Okay, how did that look? Do I want it to overlap on the star? Yeah, I think I do. Just a tiny bit. Maybe what I'll do is I'll use some pop dots on that. Some dimensional foam squares. Okay, let's get this stuck down. I think I will have to use some glue on that. Do I want to use my Gorilla? I suppose I'll use my Gorilla glue. And there goes the clock. Of course, every time I do a video, the clock has to strike. Oh well, it's a musical interlude. Okay, so we've got our star. I think I'll put it this way because it looks more evil-ish. Not that necessarily a book of shadows or a grimoire is an evil spell book. It could be spells that are for the good of people. Right now, we could use spells like that, I think. Okay, I want one down here, but that's... I wonder if I've got some smaller ones. I should have some smaller ones in my stash. Here we go. I do. Thought I did. Let's get those out of our way. Now I think for the sake of keeping these secured, and I probably should have done it before I put these on here, I'm going to give them a little drop of Gorilla Glue. Because I do find that over time, these little dimensional squares do dry out, and then your pieces fall off. Should I angle it? No, I think I'm going to do it straight on. Right there. Just hold that down for a minute. Now, I don't want to get too many 3D embellishments in this, or raise things up too much, because although there's a fairly large gusset in between here, over time it's basically going to fill up very quickly. Like it's going to get too thick and then it's not going to close, and I want to be able to close it. So let's just add the bats. Again, we're adding bats with the Gorilla Glue. Okay. And I think that's all I'm going to put on that page, or should I add a little border? This little border's kind of nice. That might look nice just there at the bottom of the page. And it's already grunged up. Must have been from another project and grunged it up, but I never used it. Just hold that down for a couple of seconds. Everybody sing. Everybody sing a little song here. Not me. You don't want to hear me sing. I can guarantee that. Just want that glue to take hold. So one thing I find about Gorilla Glue, it holds once it holds, but you got to get it to hold, if that made any sense. I'd like something with a little quicker grip. And there are glues out there that do have that. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, this page, I do want to use this, but I was talking about putting a tag in here. So I need a pocket. Would this make a decent pocket? I could do it that way. Yeah, I might do it that way, but I'm going to tear this down like I did the other one. Don't want straight edges. And I don't want to tear too much off my owl, so maybe I'll just go that way. Let's give it a hit with some ink. Well, I know something I should have done on that other little piece. Just to grunge up more, I put a few little crinkles in it, but I should lightly go over it. The crinkles will come out a little bit more, just a little. There, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to grunge up this tag too, but I'm going to tear off this bottom piece. I think my walnut ink distress pad is drying out a little bit. I do have some ink refresher. I do have re-inkers too. Just remembered that, so I should hit it. Although this is the oxide, I don't have any re-inkers for the oxide. And let's just add a little bit of grunge here to it as well. And on this tag, I was going to put this little karma thing, karma spell. And again, I'm going to do some tearing. Maybe. Wow, tough paper. Just going to tear the top of it. Grunge it up. Walnut ink is sort of my go-to ink for doing, you know, edges of things to give them that vintage look. I could use gathered twigs, or there's a couple of other products I probably should. That will do this as well. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's add some two-sided tape to that. Sorry if I'm out of shot here. Got a lot of stuff here on my table and it's taking up space. I want to use that tree as well. To think about that, how can I incorporate that piece? Or maybe I'd save that piece for something else. Okay, so if I want that to slip just sort of under there, that, now if I had this tree, well, that might look cool there, but I only glue it down here, and then this can all slide under. So let's get this piece down first. Make sure I put the tape where I want it, just on two sides. Okay, where did I put my pokey tool? There it is. You know, it wouldn't matter how much space I have, and I have a fair amount of craft space here. I would fill it. Okay, so I want to put that right about there. Now this, we got to do something about this. I am covering up her face, but it can't be helped. I guess we'll go back to this first. Now, don't get too violent with this because I have found, these are by iCraft, these little pieces, and I do love them because they're so very intricate. They must be laser cut. And But because they're so intricate, some of the smaller pieces of them can break off. Especially when you're taking them off the packaging, you've got to be really careful. Let's try and get some shadows in here. There have been several that I have broken in half simply trying to take them off the packaging. I do love the iCraft products that come from India, and you know that from my whole series that I did for a whole year on all of their albums. This, by the way, is not one of their albums. As you know, in the previous segment, it's a Graphic 45 album. Okay, that looks pretty good. But their packaging really sucks. Okay, I think I look good there, so I'm only going to put little dots of glue on the parts that are going to touch that owl piece, because I want this to be free to be able to stick the tag underneath. Sorry, I can't glue and talk at the same time. Now, I did get some glue. I knew I'd do this. Okay, let's see if I can. Oop, shoot, I almost busted that off. Okay, let that sit for a minute. And then let's see. There's my tag over there. The tag should have some kind of a ribbon, but you know, I'm thinking you don't want a nice fancy ribbon. You want something that looks kind of worn and that kind of thing. What do I have? Let me look. Let me grab my scissors and do some pruning off my board here. Ooh, this is interesting stuff. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing. Is that too... This might be okay. It looks kind of mystical and everything. So, and it's blood red. Now, I didn't put anything on the back of this. It's just white, but I'm just going to leave it that way. Maybe I'll come back and add something to it later. Okay, how would this look? I like the red effect, but maybe I want to just let those drip down. But I think I'm going to glue those so they don't go too far. So it's going to take a second to get this. Oops, I'm sticking it to everything but the card. Just counting to myself here to see. Of course, I'm stuck my fingers down to it. Okay, I'm just going to hit this with my heat gun a little bit. I do not recommend hitting Gorilla Glue with your heat gun because it does give off fumes, very strong fumes. So I'm just doing it for a few seconds. Just want it to get tacky. Yep, here come the fumes. I know, you're all going to get upset with me. Tell me I'm being a fool, and you're right, I am. I'm being a fool for art. Okay. Just going to let that sit for a second. I still want to kind of use this image here. Maybe I could put it down in this corner, or I could put it up there. I'm going to cut it out. Doing a little fussy cutting here. This is something I do not enjoy doing, is fussy cutting. In fact, I could have taken this, since it's already in the computer, and I might have been able to get the Cricut to cut it out for me. but you know, it's only one piece. And do I want to spend the time it takes to get that set up to do it for one image? And obviously my answer is no, I do not want to do that. Trying to leave a little bit of the black border on this. Now, between the fingers, yes, I think I need to. I'm just giving you the finger. Haha. Yeah, no. Okay. Oh, there was my stomach. Must be getting near lunch. Okay, there we go. I think we need to hit it a little bit just to make it stand out. And now, do I want to put it here? Actually, I think I was going to put it down here. It's kind of big. Can I get it? Do I want it there? Do I want it? I think I want it up here. Now, if I do that, though, can I get my card underneath? My tag. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm okay. Don't like that little piece hanging off. It's caught in the tree. Let's give that a little clip. Okay, now let's see. Now I think I'll put the hand right up there, and I'll let the fingers curl a little bit, because I'm just going to put a little glue just down here on the palm, back of the palm, so it doesn't seal up my little opening there. Okay. Now I think it needs something else. It needs something down in here or over here or something. Maybe a little piece of bling or something. I wonder what I have in my little stash. Ooh, I have some little metal pieces here. What I did before I started doing this is I just went through my stash and pulled up all kinds of things that had potential. These are little octopuses. Now and there's little keys. Actually, they're both kind of grabbing my interest here, so let's take a look at the keys first. Key would look good there. And a little octopus. These feel like they're kind of like plastic. Maybe just up there, but I need to take the shank off. They're just plastic, so I can probably, yeah, I can. Down there. No, I don't want things too symmetrical. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Again, this is where the Gorilla Glue comes in very handy, because these kind of things, it does hold down a little better. I don't happen to have a file, do I? Okay, well, I won't worry about that. I'll just make sure there's a lot of glue on here, because I've got the two little pieces that rise up from it, and that were where the shank was. I think that'll hold. And this shouldn't be any problem. These are essentially plastic. They're not metal. Okay. Now, do I need anything else? Should I have something in the middle of the tree? No, I like that. I want things to poke through the tree. These ones are pretty much dry now. That's good. These still have to have a few more minutes here. So while it's setting, I'm just going to clean up a few things off my work table so we can get a better look at this. So just bear with me for just a second. Garbage, garbage everywhere. But yeah, I'm just looking at this and thinking, do I need to add anything more to it? Now I'm wondering, is the skull, you know, what would be nice is to have some sort of like a little star or hexagon or pentagon or something in the center of the skull. I don't have anything like that. But do I have something over in this little box here that I could, I have these. They might be too big to cut off the shank. Oh yeah, I like that. Right in the middle of the head. Yep. When in doubt, stick it in the middle of the head. So see, they've got these little shank on them. So this is why I'm using the scissors. It's just plastic. That just cuts that off. And again, with my Gorilla Glue, wonder if I should have, it's got north, east, west, south on it. I guess I'll put it so it's straight. Just let that sit there and dry. And I've lost my cap to my glue. And where did that go? Did it go in here by mistake? I really do need that cap. Okay, well, I'll find it eventually. I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me look for it. It's got to be here somewhere. Yeah, I don't see it, but I will find it. I'm just cleaning up a few other things here so we can get this final thing in my shot. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Amazing when you clean up what you'll find. Okay, let's take one more look at this and see if there's anything else I should add. Maybe some veins on the bats, but I don't know how to do that. Better off to just leave it alone right now. Okay, so there's my first embellishments, the opening pages to the grimoire. And in the next segment, I'll do a few more pages. So over the next few weeks of my captivity, I will be working on other pages in the grimoire, and I'm going to try to do different ways of making it interactive on the pages as well, or kind of unique ideas for holding things on the pages as well. What those are, I do not know yet. Haven't thought that far enough ahead or planned it out, but I'm going to. So next week we'll have another installment to some more pages that I'll be doing in the grimoire. Okay, so moving on. Update about my mother. She's fine. Funny sort of story. I called her the other day. I try to call her at least twice a week, and my sister calls her as well. So, you know, we're staying in touch. Even though we can't go over and physically see her, we are keeping in touch. And her health and everything is fine, and she's getting excellent care. You know, and thank you to all those healthcare workers out there. I don't think we can thank them enough. They're the front line workers, and you know, I wouldn't want their job, and they're putting themselves out there every day, and they certainly are doing that at the nursing home my mother's in as well. So I thank God for them. They are, you know, wonderful. So I'm talking to her on the phone, And my mother's been watching the news, and she's keeping up with the virus thing, and she seems to understand exactly what is happening and everything. But then she turns around and says to me, okay, oh, and when you're over next, I need you to pick up a couple of things for me that I'm running low on. Mother, you know that I can't come over and see you. Neither me nor my sister or anybody. We aren't allowed in, okay? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I'm getting low on a few things. Mom, what things would that be? Everything you need is provided for you. Oh, yeah, I suppose. You see, she gets a little disoriented. I've noticed this before this whole crisis thing started too, which I think might be what I have heard referred to as situational Alzheimer's. Basically because one day runs into the next day, you're in one institution. Oh my God, kind of like all of us that are isolated now. Are we going to get this too? Could. But anyways, I digress. But I said to her, so Mom, I said, if there's something you're running low on and you think you need, you just let the staff know and they'll get it for you. And they would, but there isn't anything over there that she needs, that she doesn't already have, and they keep her well supplied with. So yeah, that was a little bit worrisome when she said that, but she came right back with it. I mean, I guess why it worries me a little bit is she is older. I mean, my mom's going to turn 80. Now in my mindset, okay, 80 is, yeah, it's a fair age, but I don't consider 80 in this day and age old. Now I might have a different outlook on that when I turn 80, if I ever get there, but I don't consider it old. I think it's also the fact that I'm almost 63 years old. Do the math. And so I'm not, like, my mother's not that much older than me in some ways, okay? She's still my mother, but that kind of thing. And I know that when I hear things about people saying that, oh, you're over 60, like I'm in the vulnerable group for the virus and all that kind of stuff, I don't feel 63. I don't look at either. I'm just so supple. Moisturizer. Yeah. Start moisturizing when you're 3. Yeah, I'm being a little bit facetious there. But nevertheless, I do not feel 63. I really don't. And I thank goodness for that I don't feel that age. And really, we shouldn't. We shouldn't feel that age, because if we've got our health, knock wood, keep going, keep yourself active, keep your brain going, keep your body going, and away you go. And many people that are my mother's age are. But I have to face reality. And the reality is that she is stuck in an institution. She can't walk. She has everything done for her. And yeah. So of course this is going to affect her brain a little bit. But anyways, there's not much I can do about it. So we move on. But she's fine. What other events the past week? Nothing. Like everybody else. Watch some movies on Netflix. A couple of good series I've watched. Check out Freud on Netflix. Really freaky, but interesting. Might take you 1 or 2 episodes to get into it, but I was hooked. I really liked it. I thought it was going to be about Freud's life. It's not. It's fiction based upon, his psychoanalytic premises and things like that. I don't know. And I've downloaded a few movies and things like that we've been watching. So, we're not glued to the TV all day long, although I am glued to every day when our Prime Minister comes on live and talks about the situation. Although I'm getting a little tired of it, because it's kind of the same old thing, and it's never really good news. And I do know there's a lot of people that are, trying to stay away from things like that on TV because it's depressing, and I get it. But at the same time, you want to know what's happening. So kind of caught between the two ideas here. So anyways, yeah, lots of things I'm keeping me busy with and whatnot. And yeah, so I hope you're keeping busy as well. All right. So what's coming up? Well, we're going to have a virtual executive guild meeting on Wednesday. We're trying out something on the executive on a smaller scale, first of all. It's basically like the setup for a webinar, and we're going to have our executive meeting that way. And if this works out okay, we're going to, in a couple of weeks' time, for our regular guild meeting, we're going to do the same thing. And as an extension of that, I'm putting together a proposal to do a virtual quilting retreat for our guild. And it would all be done using possibly the same software or similar software that we're going to use for these meetings. That's my idea. It's still an idea. I haven't really got it all formulated out, but after I finish this vlog today, I am going to start working on that in earnest. I do know that there have been several of these things happening in various platforms, out in the cyber universe there as well. So I'm not sure exactly how to go about doing this, but I think I could figure it out. It all depends on the software that you get. I know that you could do a Facebook Live kind of thing, but I don't think you can have like two-way cameras. What I mean by that is I want to put together a virtual retreat where everybody taking part of it can see everybody else. So I know there's programs out there. Zoom is one of them, and I have used Zoom. I belong to the Quilter's Way, which is a paid club run by Kim Jameson Hurst out in Calgary, and you've heard me talk about her and this program of hers as well. And we get on, actually we're starting to go once every week now on Zoom, and it's an excellent program. You can see the other participants, you can hear them, and it's really great for this. However, there's a limitation with Zoom. Zoom only allows you the free version 40 minutes. We would need longer for a virtual retreat. I have written to the company, but I ran into some problems with their connecting software, what they use for their email. It wouldn't take my phone number. It wanted my country code. I put that in, and it still wouldn't take it. So, because I wrote to them to see if there was a possibility of having that on the freebie, the time, put up to maybe 24 hours or something. And I explained why, like we're a not-for-profit organization, blah, 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 and everything. I'm not anticipating going to hear much from them, but it would be nice to use that because it's ideal. But the other alternative is to try and see if I can use this webinar software that we are using for our guild meetings. But really, it's one of the people on our executive. She approached her company that have this, if we could use it, because they pay for this. And they very generously said, sure, free, no problem. So I don't want to take advantage of someone's goodness, like I was talking about before. But I may just put it out there to this individual who arranged it and see, the lay of the land. Basically, if you don't ask, you don't get. So we'll see. And so that's kind of a major project that I'm working on right now. And of course, I've got other projects, which I've already mentioned during this vlog. So that was last week and the week ahead. And I'm looking out my window right now, and it's a gray day, and it's a bit drizzly out. Spring in Canada. So I hope the weather's nicer where you are. I hope you are not going stir crazy. I hope you're taking advantage of this enforced isolation that we're all going through right now. And keep safe, be happy, and we'll get through this. We will. So thanks for joining me today. And our next Stephen and Walter Live will be on this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you can catch it. And there may be an impromptu live here or there this week too. You never know. Have a good one. Bye-bye.